the ordinary tennis player. Over many years, Dr. Rameau observed that tennis is not one game but two, one played by professionals and a very few gifted amateurs, the other played by all the rest of us. Although players in both games use the same equipment, dress, rules, and scoring, and conform to the same etiquette and customs, they play two very different games. After extensive scientific and statistical analysis, Rameau summed it up this way: professionals win points. Amateurs lose points. In expert tennis, the ultimate outcome is determined by the actions of the winner. Professional tennis players stroke the ball hard with laser-like precision through long and often exciting rallies until one player is able to drive the ball just out of reach or force the other player to make an error. These splendid players seldom make mistakes. Amateur tennis, Rameau found, is almost entirely different. The outcome is determined by the loser. Here's how. Brilliant shots, long and exciting rallies, and seemingly miraculous recoveries are few and far between. Instead, the ball often is hit into the net or out of bounds, and double faults at service are not uncommon. The amateur seldom beats the opponent, but instead beats himself all the time. The victor in this game of tennis gets a higher score because her opponent is losing even more points. Instead of trying to add power to our serve or hit closer to the line, we should concentrate on consistency and getting the ball back. As a scientist and statistician, Rameau gathered data to test his hypothesis in a clever way. Instead of keeping conventional game scores, love, 15-all, 30-15, and so forth, Rameau simply counted points won versus points lost. He found that in expert tennis about 80% of the points are won, whereas in amateur tennis about 80% of the points are lost. The two games are fundamental opposites. Professional tennis is a winner's game. The outcome is determined by the actions of the winner. Amateur tennis is a loser's game. The outcome is determined by the actions of the loser who defeats himself. The distinguished military historian Admiral Samuel Eliot Morison makes a similar central point in his thoughtful treatise, Strategy and Compromise. In warfare, mistakes are inevitable. Military decisions are based on estimates of the enemy's strengths and intentions that are usually faulty, and on intelligence that is never complete and often misleading. Other things being equal, concludes Morison, the side that makes the fewest strategic errors wins the war. War is the ultimate loser's game. Amateur golf is another. Tommy Armour, in his book, How to Play Your Best Golf All the Time, says, "The best way to win is by making fewer bad shots," an observation with which all weekend golfers would concur. There are many other losers' games. Some, like institutional investing, were once winners' games, but have changed into losers' games with the passage of time. For example, 70 or 80 years ago, only very brave, athletic, strong-willed young people with good eyesight had the nerve to try flying an airplane. In those glorious days, flying was a winner's game. But times have changed, and so has flying. If the pilot of your 747 came aboard today wearing a 50 mission hat and a long white silk scarf around his or her neck, you'd get off. Such people no longer belong in airplanes because flying today is a loser's game with one simple rule: don't make mistakes. Likewise, the money game we call investment management has evolved in recent decades from a winner's game to a loser's game. A basic change has occurred in the investment environment. The market came to be dominated in the 1970s by the very institutions that were striving to win by outperforming the market. In just 40 years, the market activities of the investing institutions shifted from only 10% of total public transactions to an overwhelming 90%. And that shift made all the difference. No longer was the active investment manager competing with cautious custodians or amateurs who were out of touch with the market. Now he or she was competing with